Since President Obama's Affordable Health Care Act was passed in 2010, Congress has done everything they can to stop it. They even shut down the government for 2 weeks. But the reason Obamacare exists in the first place is due to astronomically high healthcare costs. In fact, the #1 reason Americans file for bankruptcy is due to medical bills. So why exactly is US healthcare so expensive? Well, healthcare in the United States is very different from healthcare in the rest of the world. The US is one of the only developed countries without universal healthcare for its citizens. Oftentimes, care is treated as a commodity rather than a necessity. Instead of prices being set by procedure costs, hospitals and insurance companies negotiate for prices that are based on bargaining power. Meanwhile, patients have almost no influence on the cost, considering that there's often no alternative to being treated.
Hello, my name is Lucia.
And I'm Marta.
I am 19 years old and I was born in Bolivia, but my mom is from Spain and my dad is from Peru. Also, I have lived in Brazil until I was 14 years old and then I moved to Spain and now I'm living here in Los Angeles. So most of the countries from South America and also Mexico have the same characteristics, so I'm going to talk about them as one. So first of all, the public health in South America and Mexico, it's very bad. The system is basically collapsed. You have to wait for long hours to get an appointment. You have to ask for a room with months in advance of going. You have long lines. You don't really have good equipment. So you basically need private insurance. Because if you have an emergency and you don't have one, and you have to go to a public hospital, you can die because you have to wait a long time and basically you're not sure that they are going to take you and take care of you. So you need a private health insurance. So comparing South America and Mexico to Spain, Spain has one of the best health services in the world. You have great infrastructures, the doctors are really well prepared. So basically you can live perfectly in Spain without having a private insurance, health insurance. And normally you go to a public hospital if you have a big emergency. If you have like a small thing, you can go to a private one because you don't want to wait for a long time like in the line or anything. But if you have a big emergency, it doesn't matter how much money you have. You usually go to a public hospital because they are really good.
I lived in Spain for 18 years. Now I'm living in San Francisco. And from what she says, I completely concur. Because me and my brothers, even though we have a private insurance, we were all born in the public hospital and broken bones, emergency trips to the hospital were all done to a public one. That was all we did.
That's Martin Shkreli, the former CEO of Turing Pharmaceuticals. He bought an old drug called Daraprim, which treats life-threatening diseases in HIV patients, and overnight raised the price from $13.50 a pill to $750. That caused outrage. Hillary Clinton tweeted about price gouging. Biotech stocks dropped into a bear market. And even pharma, the industry's lobby group in Washington, distanced itself from Turing. So why do drug prices keep going up? For one, drug makers say R&D is risky and expensive. The industry spent more than $50 billion on R&D in 2014. And most drugs fail somewhere between the test tube and the many clinical trials the FDA requires before a medicine's okayed for sale to the public. For the drugs that do get approved, on average, they have about 12 years of dominance before cheap generics come on the market and create competition. Since the US doesn't regulate drug prices, pharmaceutical companies try to make as much profit as they can before those generics come to market. In fact, Pfizer made about $1 billion more from mid-2012 to mid-2014 just because of price increases on their drugs. In the case of Turing, Shkreli was kicked out, and in November, the company said it would cut the price of the drug by as much as 50% for some hospitals. But at a congressional hearing in March, one doctor who treats patients needing the drug said she was still having difficulty getting it at an affordable price. Turing is an extreme example, but the reality is, drug companies have been doing it for years and aren't likely to change.